Hi, I'm Justenia, the New England Psychic Medium, and I wanted to discuss the wound of overcompensation. I think this is one that a lot of people don't really notice when they are trying to heal trauma. So, for example, trauma is, we have a lot of trauma reactions. Those trauma reactions more commonly are, trust issues, flinching, feeling very lacking self-love, bad self-esteem, feeling discouraged, self-limiting beliefs, being very critical on yourself. We have actions and behavior that are very commonly associated with trauma. But one of the major ones that people don't even really consider is overcompensation. And this is why we have these constant repeated cycles where one generation is too much of one thing and the other generation is too much of the other. Now, we take all these thousands of lives when we incarnate on earth so that we can come into center. We can come into full balance and understanding of all aspects of our emotional body and life and our behaviors and our understanding of our reality here on earth. But what happens when we confuse that and we react out of trauma is we act in overcompensation. So a good example of this is a family that grows up in extreme poverty may overcompensate when they are older. If they are wealthy and have money, they may overcompensate by trying to give their children everything that they ever wanted and never letting them work. Essentially, their wound is so deep, they think they've overcome it, but they haven't. They're now teaching their children the complete opposite, which is be completely dependent and expect things to come instantly and don't work hard. So in a way, you create another wound in that generation, and they have to heal and rework themselves from that one. A common one is sexual abuse. Some people will take the wound of sexual abuse and they become incredibly overprotective, and this overprotection denies their children of a lot of meaningful relationships. Yes, it's important to teach safety. It's important to teach children about their bodies. It's important to teach them how to protect themselves. Absolutely 100%. But you have to be careful as to how you're teaching them that, because you could be teaching them self-shame. You could be teaching them to lack trust. You could be pulling them away from meaningful relationships and people and family. Your overcompensation or your fear, your obsessive fear over this situation might actually cause them more damage than good. You could literally be pushing them into places and relationships where they, again, like I said, they're missing very meaningful connections. They are not able to trust. They're not able to feel comfortable at all. And that's something that is a symptom of the overcompensation. So one of those things too is abandonment. I've seen this a lot with parents or people who suffer abandonment. They may obsessively control their children's lives to the point where that child can barely control their own life. And that is really difficult too, because what you don't understand is our goal is literally to create self-sufficient beings. Our goal is to understand that we're not always going to be here as parents. So we have to create humans that are functional and can take care of themselves and can be a meaningful part of society. But we can't do that if we are constantly overprotecting them and constantly stealing their experiences. So it's difficult because a lot of people don't understand this overcompensation as a wound. They simply think, well, I'll just never let my kids experience that, to the point where they really don't let their kids experience anything at all. And that can be, again, like I said, that can be just as problematic, if not even more problematic than the original issue. And many times it pushes us back into that cycle. Again, we continue that flip-flopping in terms of money. If your children don't know how to make money, how to sustain themselves, how to live within their means, then they will likely get themselves into bankruptcy, poverty, and completing the cycle where their children now grow up in poverty and struggle. And then those children might say, well, I'll never let my kids grow up in poverty, and then they flip to the other side and they obsessively work and are never a part of their kids' lives. And the point is to find balance in all things so that we can fully heal. And I want people to pay attention to places in situations in their life where they may overcompensate based on some kind of wound or trauma that they're still carrying. And then recreate that wound or trauma into some form of understanding and release so that you don't continue those patterns within this new generation. So people can finally let go of these patterns altogether. Thanks for listening.